on KMBC 9 News on KCWE.
Thunderstorms weakening across northern Missouri, but another round will develop this afternoon and this evening. I'll show you how strong those storms could be coming up.
And Jefferson City still reeling after a tornado tore through the area. We're live from the Capitol with the latest on the damage.
And help is on the way for those affected by all forms of severe weather, what lawmakers are doing on a national stage and closer to home. 7 o'clock on your Friday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rachel Santschi.
And I'm Rob Hughes. 7 a.m. So glad you're here. I want to check in with First Alert Meteorologist Nick Bender. Nick, I wish we could say we have a break this weekend, but it's just not in the cards for us.
It doesn't really look like it. In fact, I think we're going to see more storms this afternoon into this evening. Right now, they're across northern Missouri. See some stronger thunderstorms moving toward Trenton and Chillicothe. The severe thunderstorm watch has been allowed to expire there in Maryville and Savannah, so that's the all clear there. Still could see some stronger wind gusts ahead of this line from Bethany, Gallatin to Trenton, but it's rapidly weakening. Scattered showers and a hit and miss developing across Kansas City right now. Morning, you'll want your rain jacket with you. It's a real humid morning. You step outside and the air is heavy along with a cloudy sky. Have a rain shower reported there at the airport. Dew point value 68 degrees. That's a measure of moisture at the surface. When it's near 70, it really begins to feel uncomfortable. And there's a 50-50 chance of a shower or thunderstorm this morning through this afternoon. There's going to be some dry times, and then there's going to be some times where the storms roll through. And that is especially true after 3 o'clock this afternoon into this evening. Thunderstorms are likely, and Johnny, some of those could produce severe weather.
And here we go again. Boy, what a week or two it has been, Nick. All right, thanks so much. We're taking a look at the I-35 southbound run here. We do know we have one car off the road, and that's going to be the ramp from southbound 635 to southbound I-35. You see right over the highway here. And in fact, I think it'll take you both north and southbound I-35. And then we have in the bushes there, you can see off the road a car, and then activity on the railroad tracks as well. We're wondering if the word got out that we had a car close to the railroad tracks, and maybe they deployed someone there on the tracks just to be sure everything was okay. So it does not look like the vehicle is on the tracks, and yeah, they're zooming in here. Maybe we'll get a little bit better of a look through there. No word on any injuries here yet either. It is certainly not affecting traffic. Johnny Rollins, News Chopper 9, back to you in the studio.
Johnny, thanks. 7:02. We do continue to show you the damage from the EF3 tornado that hit Jefferson City Wednesday night.
Yeah, we have drone video showing the damage in Jefferson City. This is from the south side of town. Houses and apartment complexes just completely destroyed.
Yeah, one man was huddled in his bathtub when the roof came off his building.
The suction alone, well, it's blowing all this air in and it feels like it's getting sucked out at the same time. You have, your ears just pop almost instantly.
The American Red Cross has opened 3 shelters in the area.
This morning, our crew is back in the Capitol to get an up-close look at that destruction.
Yeah, our KMBC 9's Matt Evans is live this morning in Jefferson City. Matt, what's the latest? What are you looking at there?
Intense damage after that EF3 tornado ripped through parts of the capital city. Winds up to 160 miles per hour. The entire front facade of this brick home torn off by those winds. Large pieces of brick are everywhere, including inside this living room. Amazing that the person who lived here escaped unscathed. And this is just a portion of the intense damage we have seen all across Jefferson City over the last 24 hours. And now that the sun is up, you can really see how intense all of this damage is. Ameren crews are working very hard in this portion of Jefferson City to get the power restored to homes that are still livable. But of course, a lot of homes are not still livable. Amazing to see people's livelihoods picked up by this intense tornado during the overnight hours Wednesday into Thursday. There you can see a lot of the Ameren crews up the street as they're working to get power restored. Still more than 1,000 customers without power here in Jefferson City, Missouri. And on top of that, the cleanup efforts are beginning. But of course, there's a lot of things that had to be moved and changed because, well, the state track meet was supposed to be here in Jefferson City this weekend. In fact, just across the street from all of this damage is Atkins Stadium, and this is exactly where Class 3, 4, and 5 state track meets were expected to be held. Obviously, those have been moved. There's a lot of damage to the stadium itself. The press box roof has been ripped off. There's a lot of damage to the grounds here. And including that, there's a lot of damage to a brand new scoreboard that they just put in. More than $500,000 spent by Jefferson City Schools to put that new scoreboard in over the course of the last 6 months or so. So the cleanup effort still continuing here in Jefferson City. It is going to be a long, long cleanup effort. Days, weeks, and months of cleaning up still left to do. Live in Jefferson City this morning, Matt Evans, KBC 9 News.
Thanks so much, Matt. We'll continue our coverage of the aftermath of Jefferson City, that tornado today. We'll have live reports all morning throughout the day here on KMBC and also on KMBC.com and through the app as well.
Well, there was another tornado that killed 3 people in Golden City, Missouri late Wednesday night. We told you yesterday about this storm and the deaths of Jean and Opal Harris along with Betty Berg. Well, yesterday, people in the small town were left to pick up the pieces. While homes are damaged, those who live in the area know that they are lucky to be alive.
And it didn't look like anything was coming our direction at all. And then before we know it, my son shows up and tells us we've lost everything.
Like in Jefferson City, utility crews spent much of Thursday repairing power lines. We're also learning more about that tornado that went through Carl Junction, Missouri Wednesday night. The only injuries reported are cuts and scrapes, but just look at that. Well, the police chief says that property damage is likely in the millions.
And we really wanted to go into Briarbrook because that's where most of the severe damage is, but they won't let us in. No, it's so sad.
Have you seen anything like this before?
I mean, back in 2011 when the Joplin tornado hit the exact same day, but I was 11, so I don't really remember much from then.
Well, some storm sirens are damaged, so police are warning people not to rely on them and have other ways to get weather alerts if more storms develop this weekend.
U.S. Senator Josh Hawley is back in Missouri to assess the storm damage. Yesterday, Hawley announced on Twitter he canceled the trip to the Mexico border with other members of the Senate Homeland Security Committee as Missouri deals with major flooding across the state. Senator Hawley says that flood control should be the Army Corps of Engineers' #1 priority and more should be done.
We need to give farmers and people in the local communities a say in what the Corps is doing. And that's why I propose legislation that would create an advisory council to the Corps comprised of people in local communities, farmers who can give their input and have a voice, a seat at the table.
On a federal level, help is on the way for people dealing with the aftermath of natural disasters. Yesterday, the Senate approved a disaster relief bill, and the House is expected to do so today. The $19.1 billion package will provide funds for areas dealing with the aftermath of floods, wildfires, and hurricanes. President Trump tweeted yesterday that the bill had his full approval, but opinions in Congress are mixed.
Senate passage of this legislation marks a huge step forward for communities across the U.S. that have gone far too long without receiving this federal assistance to help them get back on their feet.
We can do better, and the first action we should take to show we could do better, we should call the House back in.
Key Republican lawmakers say that President Trump plans to sign the bill once it passes through the House. 7:07, let's get a look at traffic with Johnny Rollins.
Rachel, we're still checking out this activity here southbound I-35 near 635. Really light traffic all over town ahead of the holiday here, so we're not seeing any slowdowns and really nothing else to worry about here. So I want to kind of stick with what we have. With this car off the road in the bushes there, you can just barely see it. Just past that police car, there was another car. Well, there is another police. In fact, I think that might be a highway patrol trooper down and to the right. Not sure. And activity on the railroad tracks as well, as it looks like they did dispatch someone from the railroad company. I think that's Burlington Northern, BNSF there, those tracks. And just to be sure, nothing was affected with that. And right now, not seeing that at all. Johnny Rollins, News Chopper 9, back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks, Johnny. New this morning, a woman is dead after a shooting in Kansas City, Kansas. It happened at the Terrace Point Apartments around 3 o'clock this morning. Police believe the victim was in her early 30s, but they don't yet know her name or whether she's a resident of those apartments. Police have been talking to the residents there at the complex to try to figure out what led up to that shooting and who did this.
We have some breaking news we are following this morning. UK Prime Minister Theresa May has announced that she'll resign after failing to deliver her Brexit plan. Well, she announced Friday that she would no longer lead the United Kingdom's Conservative Party on June 7th. Well, now the process of finding her replacement will begin. It's 7:09, and President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump are headed to Japan today, but the trip comes off the heels of a war of words with the House Speaker. Jared Hill is in our Washington Bureau with the latest.
So President Trump will be the first state guest of the new Emperor of Japan, but while he's meeting friendly faces abroad, there's some still high tensions here at home. In Japan, President Trump will meet with the Prime Minister as well to try and stave off further trade tensions and reassure leaders that the U.S. is staying tough on North Korea. At a press conference yesterday, though, announcing a new $16 billion relief package for farmers who have been hit by the trade war with China, President Trump traded barbs with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The verbal sparring comes after President Trump said that he couldn't work with the Democrats while they investigate him.
I tell you what, I've been watching her, and I have been watching her for a long period of time. She's not the same person. She's lost it.
I pray for the President of the United States. I wish that his family or his administration or his staff would have an intervention for the good of the country.
Meanwhile, the Senate passed a $19 billion disaster relief package, which does include money for Puerto Rico. That's going to the House later on today and is expected to be passed this morning. Reporting in Washington, I'm Jared Hill.
Well, President Trump will also visit a U.S. naval base in Japan to honor troops for Memorial Day.
7:10 right now, and the investigation continues into the disappearance of 4-year-old Malia Davis.
Coming up, what Houston police believe happened to the little girl.
Maine may soon join 3 other states with a controversial new vaccination law, what it would mean for non-medical exemptions.
Oceans of Fun officially opens for the summer season this morning. How park employees have been preparing at 7:10.